What is going on, guys? It's your boy here again, Dean, and I am going to be doing a pretty negative video, but there's going to be some, there's going to be some compliments in the middle of it, and really some constructive criticism on why the hell this game is not collectible at all. I actually don't understand. I do understand the more I've thought about it, and it kind of goes to boost your own side games on what they decide to put in our packs. So I want to talk about the state of the Shadowverse Evolve market, where they've failed, and give a lot of examples, just kind of look at some stuff. So it's going to be a while. And by the way, guys, I want you to know I do buy high rarity. You can put a little clip in here of me going through a binder, and I buy cards of not only Shadowverse, but also Pokemon. I buy some other stuff, a lot of Weiss cards too. And despite all of that, despite the fact I no longer play Weiss, I am more willing to drop hundreds of dollars on Weiss cards than I am Shadowverse cards. And there's a big reason for that. And we're going to go over all that. And, it's going to lead into like this. So what brought on this video was I was on TCG Player looking at some random cards. And as I do, I sometimes, look at like, oh, what are the ultimate prices in Shadowverse? What can I pick up for cheap? And then I started looking, and I see these $10 used. I see these just absolutely gutter, zero sales, $22 used, $12 used. And even the ones that do have sales, even the ones that are above like a certain threshold, have almost no sales. It's like a $200 card, and it has one sale in the last 3 months. It's like, what is going on? Is like, right? Why is it that people aren't collecting this game? Why is it that we're putting up decent numbers at tournaments, and it's like a very concentrated game, but nobody is buying high rarity? And people, even the people that do buy high rarity, none of, like, very, very few of them are collectors. Like, very few people are like, wow, I want to own a bunch of high rarity cards just because they maybe look nice, or I'm a fan of the IP. So we're going to have to get into a lot of stuff here. And I know this is going to be a longer video. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to condense it and talk fast for you guys. Hopefully you don't have to do the 1.5 times speed for me. So why do we have low collectability? So first we got to think, what makes a card collectible? And I think there's nothing better than like Weiss Schwartz or Pokemon, where everything really does hinge on the collectability for the actual like value of the cards. Well, I think fan favorites, of course, is a huge thing, right? Pokemon has, they just print Pikachu or Charizard on a card, and it's instantly $1 million. Let's just be honest. That's the kind of the way this game works. Was it the Surging Sparks, I believe? We have this like Pikachu. Look at this $249 big boy. The Pikachu with the light bulb on its head. $500. Look at this thing. It's insane. This card is over $400, and it's just going to keep going up because it's got Pikachu on it. So we need a fan favorite. I'm going to talk about where Shadowverse has really failed on that as well. Then we also have, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Think Dark Magician, Exodia. You put those on cards. They keep reprinting a Dark Magician. They make like a retrain of Dark Magician. That is what sells. Okay. What else can we do? Because, fan favorites, maybe you haven't played digital, but we're going to get into that too. Meta iconicness, right? So maybe not this, but I guess Yu-Gi-Oh! Might not. Like, I guess if Yu-Gi-Oh's doing like the 25th anniversary, aren't they doing like... I'm struggling here, but you know what I mean, like Dragon Rulers. Like, think Dragon Rulers and Yu-Gi-Oh! Chaos Emperor Dragon. They sometimes reprint him, and he is collectible because at some point, oh my god, don't look at that too hard. I was struggling a little bit. Right? They print this guy in the Quarter Century Bonanza. This is a new set. This card is dog shit now, but they reprint him from time to time because people still like to see this piece of history. Everyone's heard about Chaos Emperor Dragon. He was the absolute like menace 20 years ago. Most people didn't play when this card was good, but things like, Dragon Rulers, just things like that. Those are meta-defining cards that people have remembered from the past. I don't think you can, like, print a Snake Eye card and tell people you should get this, but maybe like a Burning Abyss card, something where it's like 5 years ago. Salamangreat, I think, is like one of the meta decks that was pretty big. I actually haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh in like 10 years, so don't If I'm spouting bullshit about like what was iconic, but I know I've heard a lot about that. But those are the cards that people are going to want at high rarity and would collect, or the things that they remember from like a big meta like a while ago. Physical has completely failed on this because our metas are so fast that we get 1 to 2 tournaments. It's like, wow, remember that time that Elephant was good? Yeah, no, nobody fucking remembers. Nobody. That was a bit ago. It was like literally this year, but like it was for 2 months, and then the Elephant disappeared and other decks came in. Remember when was the best deck in format? No, because we got it pre-banned and other stuff was almost as good when it came out. And then they didn't unban it until that. Remember when Discard Dragon was so good? No? Okay, well, yeah. See, we have this huge problem with the meta moves too fast for cards to become iconic. Outside of, I personally believe the only iconic cards we have in physical are D-Shift and Forte. I think those are the only 2 cards that I think have been around in the meta enough and are considered like actual win conditions to become iconic. Maybe Dragon Oracle as well. So, yeah, meta iconicness is a big part of like how you sell people some high rarity cards and expect them to have any kind of value at all. And yeah, I think those are the only 2 real things. Either you're selling people something they know, or you're selling them something that they know from like the game. Like if you're not selling them one of those, you're selling them a pretty picture, and pretty pictures are a dime a dozen, and people just do not care. And there's whatever, you get. And then some people will buy high-end for meta relevance, which, due to the fast release schedule of Shadowverse Evolve, means you either snap by day 1 or you just never buy it because cards become non-meta relevant extremely fast. It's very hard to keep a max rarity deck in Shadowverse Evolve since your deck completely changes almost every booster, which is something, we'll go into a little bit as well. So I want to like go look at the sets a little bit and talk about where they failed. Because look at this. Set 1, $580 a case. That's unbelievable. Set 2, $440 a case. And the U's and the leaders tell us that this is good. Paragons of the Colosseum. This set has serialized cards. This set has Kuon. This set has like good cards that you can still play today, and is $670 a case. You're thinking, wow, well. If people don't know, cases are like $850 on release. They're like close to $900. You're losing $300. These people are selling these cases at a $300 loss because they just want to be rid of them. Look, there's so many of them. And nobody's going to buy these because the EV is fucking terrible. Why is the EV terrible? Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about those things. Remember, meta relevance, fan favorites, all of that. Set 1... we're laying the groundwork for the game, and we already see a little bit of a shaky start. I don't think that any of our leaders were bad. We got the main cast all as like high end. We got Zernitra. There's not really a whole lot going on. We save Forte for later. We got the Forte U. All good. Jean, I mean, first set had some absolute stinkers of actual leaders, but we do have some things that are very strange, and that is Rose Queen and Juno's Lab. What the actual hell are these? Why do we have Rose Queen as a U when in set 1 we have Roach? We have one of the most iconic Shadowverse cards of all time, and we got a Rose Queen as a U. Like, actually, what was going on there? Is it just because the big boobs? Because guess what? For some reason, the English division, I know that they're just porting over the Japanese decisions, but for some reason, we got censored art as well across the board. Otohime's fine. Medusa's fine. She got the bunch of retrains, and she's like Grand Blue Fantasy character. I think that everything else here is fine. Juno's should have definitely been something else, whether it be D-Shift, like I've talked about. Like that's an iconic card, kind of like Roach. And they showed with Juno's that they're not afraid to choose a random gold as a U. But for some reason, they chose an unplayable card. The card was barely playable in set 1. It was barely playable, and it's been unplayable since. Nobody's sleeved this card since set 1, since set 2 came out, pretty much. And, yeah, there's really not a whole lot to say because this was the groundwork of the game. And there were some bangers, and you see that in some of the leader prices, right? You see the $60 Aurelia still. It's holding up. The Urias, of course, is a good leader. $35 though only. $50 on the Zernitra. None of these are like bad though. I think these are all okay decisions, minus the Juno and the Rose Queen. Those are a little whack. Maybe you could argue the U here should have been. I mean, if you're gonna make like a good card like Bellringer that you know everyone's gonna want, maybe this should be Bellringer instead of Gabriel. It's really the only complaint there. Reign of Bahamut is where we start to see that the leaders in the sets don't actually line up with anything where they're trying to make them even close to covetable. I love Prim. She is one of my favorite leaders. I think that she's the best sword leader you could be playing with. She's very funny. But she has no business being in the leader slot, and Michelle is another card that nobody's ever heard of. And the fact that these are the only two leaders you can pull, ultimately, I think, like, drags down some of the EV on this case. Other than that, Amelia, I guess, is like a fan favorite, so, okay. You know, this set is mostly okay across the board, actually, outside of specifically the leaders. Bahamut's a good one. I know that his price hasn't held up. Kaguya looks really good. Big fan of this one. But, I mean, the collectors aren't here, and outside of the Vania, it looks like Vania is getting collected. And Anne's staying up there a little bit, but there's only one seller, and there's no buyers, so can we really say that this card's good? And these cards, I mean, you probably pick these up for $10 at some point. I'm not sure. There's no money flowing into these either, even though I think that these are good. So maybe this entire video is pointless because just no money in the collecting sphere at all. Umamusume, this is $500 a case. This set's good. This set is good. This set has SPs, which are good. We like SPs, coming from Weiss. But more importantly, it has high rarity, good cards, and has an existing franchise behind it. Even though it may not be popular in America, it at least has an existing franchise where people know the characters. And if you are familiar with the IP at all, you will be buying some of the cards, right? Like, I think the mobile game comes out sometime this year. Was it, or did it already come out? I'm not actually sure. But season 4 of the anime, we recently got a movie that had Agnes in it, and it's like, right, somebody watches that movie, they go, wow, I want an Agnes card. Wow, right here, Shadowverse, we've got the Agnes signed card at $150 a copy. You know, it's held up a lot better than some other things. It's held up a lot better than IMAS. This set is a powerhouse of a franchise that has at least a cult following in the US and is pretty good across the board. I actually have no complaints about the Uma set other than the fact that it is a franchise that is very niche in the West, and is it's hard to like grow our player base with advertising the Umamusume set. So like I said, there's going to be some positives in here, but there's also going to be a lot of negatives, and this is one of the negative sets. There's a lot of negatives here because I think this proved that basically whoever it is that's deciding what the high rarity cards are has no fucking clue what they're doing. And you know, when we're looking at this set, Flames of Laevateinn, we see just, I don't know how to call it, borderline incompetence. So we think about what's in Flame of Laevateinn, right? There is Shadowverse Flame cards, anime exclusives, which is something they're trying to push, but we're going to talk about why they clearly didn't even try to push that. And we have Fabled, which is one of the most iconic times of digital. If you talk to anyone who tried digital back when they promoted it, way back when, you know, they do the Pros ZD skits and they did all of the streamer sponsorships back then. People quit in Wonderland Dreams because Alice was one of the most insane cards ever. It was just like the tempo of the early game got way too much, and all of the old decks just couldn't keep up with like neutral spam. Your entire deck was neutrals. And one of the most iconic cards of this time was, of course, Spawn of the Abyss, which is not in the set. Okay, so we just didn't print one of the most iconic cards of all times. We just didn't print it. Okay. So then another thing is in digital is the anime exclusive cards. When they did Flames of Laevateinn, it was a lot of really powerful archetypes in Armed Dragon. The chess deck was pretty good. It was like tier 2 forever. what were the other ones? Oh, we had the Masquerade Ghost with the that like Ghost Shadow was a huge deck for a long period of time. I'm struggling on all these. Ward Haven, so you got the Wingy with the Diamond Masters. Definitely like a huge meta threat. Like all of the anime archetypes in general were like meta defining decks for straight near a year. For it was like minimum 6 to 9 months. So like 2 to 3 expansions that the anime decks were some of the best decks on the ladder, right? And we look at this decision to not put any of the anime archetypes are terrible. They did not print good cards for them. It is consistently some of the worst cards they've printed are in this set specifically. I have no idea how the set is $728 a case. I guarantee this has not had a sale in the last 3 months almost. Not at this price. 0 sales in the last 3 months. What I tell you, there's no shot this wasn't a $500 case, because some of the worst cards literally ever printed are in this set. And then for some reason we're focusing on the Fabled cards, which I think Alice is fantastic, but Dark Alice, this card was a meme card that was unplayable. We could have got a Masquerade Ghost that was somehow playable. Instead we got this Dark Alice. We don't need 2 Alices. We don't need to double dip. Jabberwock over an Armed Dragon you know, a Laevateinn dragon. If we're going to try to sell the anime, we might as well do it instead of this waifu bullshit. I'm sorry. This thing probably doesn't sell either. 4 sold in 3 months. 2 sold this month. Okay, pretty impressive. You know, across the board, Forest I don't care about. But yeah, Oz, where is it? Oz should have been something to do with the chess. This should have been like a heroic fencer or something. And then let's talk about the leaders. The leaders are absolute dog shit. I actually cannot believe this set where every leader is $20 again because they refuse to make a female. For some reason, they refuse to make a girl leader. Flame has some banger designs. They know that it sells, and instead we got the only 3 dudes in the entire show. And they're the leaders, and they're $20 because nobody gives a shit about them. Even the main pro tag, Light, $20 because they didn't give us. And, you know, this wouldn't be a problem if we had the leaders in a different set. But no, we got the anime-only set. They gave us Daria, a good leader, a collab leader, which for the exact same class, and then they gave us the actual worst leaders they've ever printed. I actually cannot believe this set, where we did not get leaders that anyone wants. This is other than Daria, and I guess the Yui. No, this girl's a Who. This is an actual Who, but she's somewhat funny. So, you know, she gets a couple sales here and there for like the random Haven leader. But yeah, this is like nobody who's played Digital or has any affiliation with your franchise knows who this is. So, weird one, but it's definitely better than these guys. These guys that you know will be on the low end. You know, if you're going to include these guys, have the rest of the cast. I want a Shion leader. Just saying. This was the Cosmic Mythos, the Lelouch collab. I don't like the Code Geass leaders, but they, you know, if you like Code Geass, more power to you. And we see that those actually hold value. You know, CC's up there. Callan is up there, of course. Lelouch himself, super high up there. Despite being a guy, his SP is still more expensive than any of the other ones. Suzaku fan favorite, $90, even more than Cordelia or the other ones that nobody cares about. This set was... I don't think I really have a complaint about this one, other than is Gawain terrible? Gawain is terrible, but wasn't there like actually good cards in this set? Mars? No, this set just sucked. It's okay. Yeah, this set didn't have good cards. Never mind. The defense form, Howling Demon, get some more anime cards. Once again, no, none of the anime girls, just these. Yeah, this set's good. I like this set with the cards you've decided to put in it. This one's okay. We see $1,200 a case. Pretty good. Probably no sales, because yeah, why would $500 a case? Because with no sales, you might as well just say it's $500. Let's be honest. Omens Eternal. This set was fired. This was one of the best sets they've ever printed across the board. The leaders that they put in were definitely counterbalanced by the insanely good leaders. Greya, Cerberus, we got Albert. Fan favorites across the board. Omens are all semi-popular. You know, they've been in the game forever. They had their retrains. People know who they are. People want them. Even though they're $18, I'm not actually beat up by this, other than the fact that it's like, kind of shows there's not a whole lot of collectors, but, you know, we got this Anne and Grey up here at this no sales in 2.5 months. Soon this will say 0. Once again, we're having a problem with, like, actually, like, sellers changing their prices. I don't know what's going on there. But I do think that this is the kind of set that you want to be making. If you want us to be buying high rarity, if you want to get a collector like mentality going, you should be printing sets like this that people actually will want the high rarity if they're even close to in tune with your franchise at all. Paragons of the Colosseum. This one. What were the leaders? This one have fucking terrible leaders. I think the use across the board in Paragons is good. Kuon is iconic. Ralmia is a fan favorite. The Lamaga is an actual who, but what were your options in this set? I don't remember. Amataz, yeah. Lamaga over Amataz, probably a good call. I mean, neither is going to be worth a lot. Wilbert has a leader, but honestly, who cares about Wilbert? And Karula looks somewhat cool. He's like Genos. Can't believe how low this set is. That's insane. I do think the only problem with this set is the leaders were whack again. It didn't feel like they wanted us to be buying the leaders in this one. And Cinderella Girls is a terrible IP. The set's well made. Foils look nice. SPs are good. Nobody's buying the cards because not only, once again, where are the collectors in Shadowverse, but who are the people that give a shit about Cinderella Girls? There's like very few of them, and it really shows when cards that cost a little bit more in Japanese can't sell at $40 in America, right? Like, these cards are unsellable, unmovable, and the meta moves so fast that these cards were gone 6 weeks later. It's like kind of insane. So you either really loved IMAS and bought this day one, or this you buy it in a year for $0, because this number is going to say 0 very soon. 2 months. 2 months, this number will say 0, and you'll be able to pick up this card for nothing. That's kind of just the way things are going to be. Let's be honest. And then the other reason I made this video, this set... yeah, BP7 made me so upset. It made me so upset. It's part of the reason this video is coming out. Why are these the U's? There are some absolute bangers, and there are some absolute stinkers in this one. One, we have three leaders. We have Forte, who is good, of course. You know, fan favorite Forte. Not my favorite, but fan favorite. And we have Emily. We have an actual unplayable bronze, and I've never even heard her. And then there's like another card. I don't remember what it is. Doesn't matter. Nobody's out there. I guarantee you nobody's buying the other leader in this set. And then we get the U's, and we see reflected in the price a little bit of like what needs to be, except for one of these. I don't understand one of them. We see Mono, which is good. She's in the story. By the way, I don't know if anyone knows what actually happens in the Shadowverse story. Maybe I'll have to tell people one day. But yeah, Mono is in the story. Good decision. This is, by the way, this is the first set that actually has characters from the story. It's the first one. And for some reason, they didn't just like all in on the story characters. But we see Mono, Latica, and Verdant, all from the story, get used. Fantastic. We also see, for some reason, Lapis, Riley, Technolord, and Tsubaki get used. I actually cannot fathom this, because Viridian Magna's in the story. Technolord is a random shitty card. Technolord, I don't believe ever saw play in Digital. I could be wrong. But from the best of my knowledge, never was really played. Viridian Magna was played a lot. For some reason, Technolord gets the U in physical over a character that's in the story and that had more meta relevance. Your Technolord you, by the way, I'm just gonna warn you right now. This card will be like fucking $40 in February. Give February? No, wait. The next set comes out a little bit after. March or April. Technolord will be a $40 card, and it will not go up. And before this time next year, mark my words, there will be 0 on the sold, while some of these other cards might have sales. Except for Tsubaki. Riley was a tier 2 at best deck in digital versus Tetra. I don't like Tetra, but Tetra is a character that people may like, and Baphomet. Baphomet is one of the most insane villains they've made. Super popular. Has his own leader. Super fun guy. Didn't get the U. Riley got the U. I don't care how good the card looks. That was a bad decision. Lapis over, was it Marlone? Lamonia? I guess they didn't put the story characters into Haven, so maybe Lapis is fine. She has a leader. Okay, I'll give her the pass. Verdant is good. And Tsubaki of all fucking people. Tsubaki won. I can't think of a time that this card was good in digital. I actually cannot think of a time that I have ever looked at a digital deck and had Tsubaki in it. So already whack. Next up is the Tsubaki leader. I have the Tsubaki leader in digital. I cannot think of a time that I've used it. So we have a leader that is from like the early days of them making leaders that I don't believe anyone cares about anymore. We have an unplayable card, and it's unplayable in physical, and it took the spot of Mistalina and Baleon. They knew when they made this card that it was going to be absolutely worthless, and I cannot believe that they did that. So I'm sorry, I wanted to make this rant video. As somebody who plays this game a lot, spends a lot of money on cards, once again, I just felt like I wanted to get everything out about these unbelievable decisions that they've consistently made that have, I think, completely crippled the ability to collect this game. I think it makes it very hard to collect this game, and it makes it very hard for people to come in and even start wanting to collect this game when they see across the board 0 sales. And I don't think it's the fault of just like collectors or fans. I think it's just like the cards in the packs 90% of the time aren't things that people would want to own, and sometimes they are, and when they don't sell, then I really can't blame the Bushiroad for our lack of wanting some of the cards, but I'm hoping that maybe somebody out there, notices this. I know that some of the sets in Japanese get a little bit better, but they get rid of the leaders. I think that's a huge mistake. I want the leaders. I like the leaders. I just think you need good leaders, and I think you could have continued that. But I understand if you want to put that somewhere else or make it a different way to get them. It is what it is. But yeah, if you guys like this kind of video, a little bit of a rant, I'm not going to make these very often. Smash that like button. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. And, we'll get more gameplay. We'll get some more, actual good content out. More positive content. But, yeah, let me know what cards are you collecting? And do you think that, like, I missed the mark here? Or is there something that you like? Were you actually a huge Riley fan? And then this set came out, you're like, oh my god, I need the Riley use? Or are you just buying it because Dirt Rune's going to be good in 2 sets? Like, honestly, just let me know. And until then, this is your boy Dean signing out.